He packed in the animals two by two, the ox, the camel, and the kangaroo. He packed them in that ox so tight, I couldn't get no sleep last night. Nor son, Shem and Ham, telling about God's master plan. Oh my Lord, 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 Lord. Oh my Lord, 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 Lord. I ain't much about no praying now. I ain't never had no family. Killed off my mama. Well, I just it's the only family I got. Love the 54. Ain't even much no matter what happens tomorrow. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we? This is Brother Heath L. from the Griot's Corner, back to Black Classic Film Review. Today, I'm reviewing the 1989 film classic Glory, directed by Edward Zwick, screenplay by Kevin Jarre, starring Matthew Broderick, Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, Denzel Washington as Private Silas Tripp, Cary Elwes as Major Cabot Forbes, Morgan Freeman as Sergeant Major John Rawlins, Andre Braugher as Corporal Thomas Seals. What can I begin to say about this tremendous film that captures the Civil War from the perspective of the Black Union soldiers who were a part of this engagement? It's based on a true story. Colonel Robert Gould Shaw did exist. He was the commander of the legendary 54th Regiment that fought in the Union Army, comprised mostly of Black soldiers, or comprised exclusively, rather, of Black soldiers, with the exception of himself and of the character that Cary Elwes plays, Major Cabot Forbes. This movie begins by Colonel Shaw being offered the opportunity, of course, led by the legendary Frederick Douglass, in leading this Black regiment. The first one to join up, or to volunteer to join up, is his childhood friend, portrayed by Andre Braugher, Thomas Seals, who is free Black, born free, educated, but he wants to be a part of this engagement. Little did he know that it was going to require the biggest commitment and sacrifice of his life. Joining this awesome cast, of course, is Morgan Freeman, who plays Major John Rawlins, who had been familiar with war. He was one of the persons who would carry the bodies of the dead Union soldiers off of the battlefield. And so, of course, he wants to be a part of this engagement. And there is a high listing setup, or sign-in, if you will, of Black, ex-Black slaves who wanted to be a part of this regiment. And of course, the outstanding performance and the outstanding character in this movie is portrayed by Denzel Washington, who plays Silas Tripp. Angry, bitter, had been overrun, if you will, with the brutality of slavery all of his life. And he saw this as an opportunity to strike back, if you will, to come against this, this institution that had crippled his life in such a unusual way. And so they come together. Colonel Shaw is not fully supported by the Union Army to a large degree, even to the degree of him being told that if he continues in this, he's warned about continuing in this enterprise and that it could result in him being arrested and the Black men who had joined to be captured and put back into slavery. And he gives them the opportunity to leave, but they decide to remain. This movie is extremely impactful to me. I remember seeing it my freshman year, well, the fall semester of my senior year in college. And I remember going with a group of classmates who were traveling with me to go check out this movie. And it just blew us away. First, the story. Never before that I have read had the Civil War been told from the perspective of the Black Union soldiers, their engagement, their involvement, how it made them feel, what they were really fighting for, and what they were willing to lay down their lives for. It showed the interplay of relationship, especially between Trip and Seals, because Trip did not respect Seals initially. He saw that he was highly educated, had been raised in the North, had never knew the brutality of slavery. And so he wanted to make sure that he reminded him each and every day that you are no better than the rest of us. Subsequently, as Seals goes through his own transformation, which was powerfully portrayed by Andre Braugher, going from what he imagined or what he thought to be just an opportunity to fight in this war, but what he didn't realize was the commitment that he was going to have to personally make. As was pointed out in the movie, he had some growing up to do, and it was very painful. But subsequently, he did weather the storm, and he not only fought, but he earned the respect of his fellow Union soldier, Trip. It captured their relationship, along with Morgan Freeman, who plays Rollins, who is sort of like the elder statesman among them, because not only does he know about war, he knows about what it's really going to take for them to be taken seriously as a unit, and what it was going to take for them to fight side by side, laying down their lives, if necessary, for one another. Again, Matthew Broderick, many of us remember Matthew Broderick from comedy movies from the 80s. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of the all-time classic films that he was in. But when he took this role as Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, there was an intensity and a seriousness in his performance that was captured in a remarkable way on film. The relationship that he has with Forbes, because they grew up together, but he has to remind Forbes, who just simply wants to take them through daily marching, and that was it. He reminds Forbes that they are responsible for making sure that these men were ready for war, as if they were commanding a white Union regiment. And then the relationship that Gould has with Seals, who has to be reminded repeatedly that if he wants to have communication with him, he has to utilize the chain of command. He's reminded by the treacherous drill sergeant, but yet effective drill sergeant, that there's some soldiering, there's some learning, there's some developing that he has to do. And Seals rises to the occasion in such a way that the next to last battle that they have, he gets seriously injured. Injured enough where he can be sent back home. And Seals looks at Cabot and Shaw and makes them promise him that they would not send him back home. He was willing to lay down his life if necessary for the 54th. One of the most outstanding scenes in Glory is when Trip goes out to try to find some shoes because the men did not have shoes nor socks to wear. And with trying to find some shoes, he was going to get them something to eat. He's captured, brought back. The drill sergeant who brings them back along with some other soldiers goes to Colonel Shaw, and Shaw asks them what should be done with a prisoner or a soldier rather, who does this kind of desertion. And he says that he should be whipped, which of course was objected to by Cabot. He has to put Cabot at attention, and Denzel Washington's portrayal of Trip receiving that beating, being stripped down to his waist, and when he braces himself, when they show his back, you could see that this man Trip had been whipped many times before. And as the whipping commenced, the camera focuses right in on Denzel Washington, who as Trip is looking at Shaw with a pensive look on his face, but with every strike against his back, you can see that Denzel Washington captured not only the pain of what Trip was going through, but I believe he connected with the ancestors, those who had lived through such the brutality of slavery and the egregious inhumanity done against the ancestors, and as well as those who had come through the civil rights movement, those who had come through the Black Power movement. There was a determination, yet there was a pain that was present that culminated in that scene with a tear dropping from his eye. One of the most powerful scenes in the entire film was that scene of Trip being quote unquote disciplined for going AWOL. This movie was incredibly received. You can tell that the other actors who were part of this Black regiment, this Black 54th Regiment, that they had done their homework. There was a camaraderie, there is an intimacy between all of them. They were brothers. And you can tell that they probably had long discussions, long conversations about the importance of this film, the importance of this story being told in such a way. You can tell that there was an enmeshment that they had one with another. And so at the next to final scene where they have the campfire, a prayer call to meet, and they were singing and testifying. And of course, the ultimate testimony comes from Trip, who has to finally admit that he never had a family and that the 54th was his family. This film is impactful in so many ways because it does speak to standing solidly against injustices of any kind, specifically racial injustice, and standing against those who would not want to see them stand up for themselves and fight. When we think about the Black Union soldiers who fought in the Civil War, they were determined that nobody else needs to fight for me or mine. I will do the fighting. And I will make sure that my children and grandchildren and those who come generations after would never have to face this kind of engagement. If you have not seen this 1989 film Glory, please go see it. If you've seen it before, take a moment to go check this film out again. This film was well received, as we all know. many of us know, because Denzel Washington was nominated and won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his portrayal of Trip in the film Glory. Again, Morgan Freeman has gone on to portray many other iconic roles. Andre Braugher, Cary Elwes, other actors who were part of this film have gone on to do other things. But this moment in time captured with the Civil War, this moment in 1989 that really set a trend and exposed the reality of what Black soldiers had to face, Black Union soldiers, and what the Black race was facing during that period in time. And these men stood up and took a stand. So I'm Brother Heath L. This is Griot's Corner, back to Black classic film, the remarkable film Glory that I am strongly urging you to go see and check out. Peace and blessings.